I'm a junior at the Burlington High School Help Desk. Welcome to Help Desk Live. I'm here today with Justin Shandeau. He is the co-founder of Chalkup, which is a fantastic application for iOS and web that I've just been looking at. So, Justin, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Hey Timmy, thanks for having me. Yeah, Chalkup is a new learning management system. We call it a class collaboration platform and and keep it for any grade level. So excited to show you all about it, and I think we're going to have a great discussion.
Definitely. All right. So for myself as a student, what would it look like if I was to go in this and I was to use this application?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I mean, really, just from an overview, Chalkup was almost built for students in mind first. A quick background of how we started with the idea is my co-founder and I were just really upset with the quality of the learning management systems that we had in college. And in today's day and age, we really were longing for this modern user experience that really actually helped us collaborate with our classmates, and and most of all, really just stay more organized for whenever we are. So that means kind of bringing in all of our upcoming assignments and tasks and to-dos all together in the same place, and and really the place to go to communicate across multiple classes and everyone in the school. So that's where we're coming up with Chalkup, and from there, it's become a really powerful tool for educators to keep their classes engaged and to keep everyone connected and post great resources and have a really great grading workflow with Google Apps for Education.
Definitely. I know that one big aspect of, or the classes that I enjoy the most is where everyone is always collaborating on something. And not
Right?
necessarily in the means of like we are working together on the same thing, but we're working as a group to solve some sort of problem. And by
Yeah.
staying connected with like technology, I know that's one of the things I love about our one-to-one district is that we constantly have the power through a bunch of great resources like the ones that you guys have developed for us to constantly do that, and that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and even at home when you're away from school, and it's almost just like I know that everyone else is working on the same exact thing, basically at the same time I am, and wouldn't it be great if we could just kind of talk about it and ask questions to each other?
Absolutely. And so I believe that there's a forum feature or maybe like a community aspect to this where students can talk with each other.
Yeah, we really call it our discussions, and that's the place for sharing comments, but actually a dedicated spot for question and answers. It almost becomes the class's question and answer board for everything. So we have teachers that actually say, "Don't ask me a question individually in person. Post it on Chalkup because then everyone else can see it." And it's a really cool feature where you kind of mark it as solved with the instructor's choice as well as the person that asked the question's choice. But we can go through that as well when we dive into the live demo.
Yeah, awesome. Should we see what that looks like?
Yeah, why don't we do that? I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Awesome.
And here it is. Okay. Well, I am in Chalkup, and Timmy, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Great, great. So I have a couple of windows open. I'm here as a student first, and I figure why don't we go through the student aspect of it first and foremost, and then we'll dive into the teacher side. But really, if we started here, I want to kind of take through a day in the life of what it looks like to be a student on Chalkup. To introduce you to the interface, we just logged in. I'm on the dashboard, and the dashboard is this real-time feed of everything that's going on across all of my classes. So, imagine all of your classes being on Chalkup, everything that gets posted, whether it's a new assignment, a new discussion, like here's a question from Allison, new material that's been posted. You can access everything here, and most of all, everything's collaborative. So that means that everything can be commented on. Um, so that's great. And a little bit more about the interface. Down the left side here are all of your courses, and we try and make them pretty interesting by letting you color code them, adding some cool icons to it, and just kind of really kind of keeping them organized however you want. And then down here are a couple more options by creating new things. We have a flashcards feature that's built right in. Our messaging tool, which is really just real-time messaging, whether it's in classes or small groups or one-on-one, and notifications.
That's awesome. I love, in particular, the feel of it. It's very social media to me, and that's awesome because it adds like a new, more fun way to look at learning and collaborating on class content, but also how everything's put together. So I know for myself, when I'm using tools such as Google Classroom or some type of flashcard application, if I'm talking to friends, I have to constantly be switching between Classroom, my flashcards, my discussions with people, and they're all three separate entities that I'm using, and I love that everything's all together on this.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we're going for, Tim. I mean it's really you're at home, you're working on your work, you're looking at all these different aspects, whether it's your course material or your study material with flashcards and working with each other and messaging friends. So that's we want to bring it all together all in one place. And we really feel like it becomes so much more powerful when it is all in one place.
Yeah, and I love the messaging feature because content that they're learning, and not just to see it as like, oh, I need to study this, but to see it as something that can be discussed and to talk through it and to work through it with someone else is really awesome.
Yeah, you bet. Great points. Yeah, and so the next part of that, really, first thing that you would do would really to come over to your look ahead and prepare for the day. And our look ahead calculates how much work a student has and how long it will take, all the while tracking upcoming due dates. So all this kind of comes in here automatically. And you'll notice a unique feature of Chalkup, which is 9 hours of estimated workloads. It's our workload estimator. And it actually comes from estimates from the teachers. The teacher's actually saying about how long this assignment will take. And the student actually comes in here and says, okay, here's this new assignment. I have everything that I need to know to do this assignment, right? So there's a description for it, I know the type, when it's due. This one's overdue. But I can also see the rubric, which is nice. In advance, students really like to see the rubric attached to the assignment before they start working on it, especially if it's a long research paper. How are they going to be assessed on it? It's all right here and tied really closely. Same with attached materials. So once again, this is the writing assignment, and it was just attached right to the assignment, but I can view that file right in line here, so there's no downloading or opening up in a different application. It's all right here in line with Chalkup using our Google integration, but then also you can make comments on it. So really just kind of infusing our collaborative culture, everything can be commented on. And you see a couple more options here. I can save it to my Google Drive or download it to my computer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so really just the next part of that is after you've worked on it and you're ready to turn it in, it's as simple as right here. You have this big drag and drop area if you're working on your computer, or you can attach it from your Google Drive. And the Google Drive integration is just really tight that you're just choosing the file and uploading it, and we handle all the file permissions in the background, so it automatically lets the teacher have access to that file. And we do some fancy things on the back end that lets you actually write on and annotate on the Google Drive document, as well as grade with that rubric. So
that's awesome, because I know a lot of my teachers have issue with the fact that when we use Google Drive for assignments, they can't really find a great way to edit them or to comment on them really for us to see them. And the only one of my teachers that really does do that, he has to save them as a PDF, put them into another application, annotate them, then upload them back into our shared Google folder, and that's just a hassle with applications.
Yeah. I mean, it goes with that same philosophy that we were talking about before, of just keeping it all in one place.
Absolutely.
And being really powerful at that. So, and then the last part of just preparing for your day or your week is coming over to the calendar, right? And just seeing all your assignments in this calendar view. And again, you can just kind of click on these and see more information about it, and when they're due, and which ones you still need to turn in. So it's all right here. We try to lay out what you need to do in the most organized way possible, right? And this is, of course, accessible. Your look ahead is accessible from wherever you are on the iPhone. You get those push notifications when there's new assignments. And most of all, what's really cool, and I think you'd appreciate this, Timmy, is that if you haven't done something and you need to, right before it's due, Chalkup actually sends you a reminder. So it says, hey Timmy, the open novel project is due soon and you haven't turned anything in yet. Better get to work.
That's definitely a tool for me.
Yeah.
I love the calendar is amazing, because I know for Google Classroom, every time we use it, I have to sort of scroll through things, and whether my teacher outlines due dates in a post, or if they put it in a due date but it doesn't always show it because it only shows like what's coming up. I love that I can visually see everything here, and it's color coded, and I can click on it for information. And it's just overall appealing to all the types of learners, because you have so many great visual aspects that you can see, like what's due and when it's due and what you have to do for it. There's people can talk through it, so that accounts for that aspect of it. You're collaborating constantly. At every turn, you're collaborating with someone, which makes learning more of a fun experience and less of something you're doing in isolation. You're doing it together. And I love especially the fact that everything's together. And you're in there and you're doing it and you're completing everything in one spot.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's questions on an assignment, why should it be somewhere else? Let's just attach it right to that assignment so that it's there and actionable, and everyone can refer back to everything else. It just really makes sense.
And teachers are always saying like, oh, I got X amount of emails all with the same question. Well, now if one person has a question, they just upload it and everyone can see and can respond if another student may have the answer to that. It's great to have everything together, and to have the teacher not have to worry about a ton of different emails with the same problem, and they really know where the class stands as a whole in terms of their projects.
Yeah, definitely. You're really hitting on the head. I mean, that's exactly right. And why don't we jump into the next part of it, which now we're on the teacher side, and the overview part is what we just went through, and that's kind of the general view of everything that you have coming up, right? That's all across all the classes. When you really just want to focus in on one, that's when you'll click one of the individual classes, and this is what that looks like. So I'm on the recent tab here, and it's giving me this kind of one-page overview of everything that's going on recently. So upcoming assignments, our trending discussions, and it's a pretty cool algorithm that works very similarly to the Reddit kind of hot algorithm. Things go up and down based on upvotes and velocity of comments, and as well as some recently shared materials. So all of that's accessible right here. And why don't I jump into one of these questions here to kind of show off what we were talking about. So in this case, Allison had a question on chapter 25, and really this was left open to a bunch of classmates to be able to answer, and John kind of came in and had the best answer. And you can see that he saw the question, and the instructor came in and just kind of marked it as the instructor's choice. So did Allison. She said this was the right one as well. So when we kind of come back to that recent area, right, we see that this one was a question that was asked, but it was also solved and resolved, right? So it's really just kind of that way of, I'm a student or even a teacher asking a question to the class, just kind of typing that in, shooting it out, and really just kind of having a discussion on it.
That's incredible, just because it's almost ensuring that the teacher's not going to miss something if there's a problem with the students. I love that the trending aspect of it brings it up, because teachers can say, oh, the huge body of my students are having an issue with this. There needs to be some clarification. And I love the opportunity for students to also come in and say, oh, I found this as a solution. And that they can be like, yeah, this was good feedback, thank you.
And teachers tend to like that too because it doesn't actually force them to have to answer every question, and forces a little more independence on students to figure it out, and they can still chime in and clarify things if they're on the wrong path. So that's all good stuff. I mean, there's plenty of different things you can do in here, like embedding videos from all sorts of video providers. I can show you really quickly how to do that. I mean, just a new discussion, fill out a title, some information, and just paste a link to the video. And you can also embed things. So if you have the HTML code to embed, it'll embed it right into the discussion, and that kind of opens it up to millions of different types of content. So lots of different ways to post and stay engaged. The next part, from a teacher perspective, we just kind of shift gears a little bit. One of the things that you have to do, almost all the time, almost every day, we're having teachers that create new assignments, just one of those daily tasks. So what we did to make it easy is we put this overall plus button on the left side of the application on every single page. So giving you access to the 3 top things that you really do all the time: new assignments, new discussions, and uploading new materials. So to create that new assignment, it's just that plus button and new assignment, and we can just kind of fill this out. So for example, maybe this is a lab report, and we mark it as a type. And you can make a lot of different types of assignments, and this just helps keep it organized, especially on the grading side. So we'll mark it as a lab and just say what you need to do. A lab report on projectile motion. And here is where you get the option to attach materials. In fact, this whole area is drag and droppable, but you can also choose from your Google Drive. And that's really powerful. And if I can just kind of log in really quickly to a Drive account, you'll see that you have access to all of these Drive files that you're already using in Google Drive, and you can just pick any of these and upload it to Chalkup. And what that does is it changes the file permission. You give access to Chalkup to change the file permission, then all the students will have access to it right away in Chalkup. And from there, they can do whatever they want. They can download it, or they can save a copy to their own drive and work on it in Drive. So again, just showing off that tight integration with Google.
That's great. I love the fluidity between the 2 applications.
Yeah. I mean, and it really just brings in that Google Picker. It's a very familiar interface.
Yeah, definitely. Very simple too, because you don't have to really navigate anything, and it doesn't take you anywhere. It's just showing you, what you want to upload. Yeah,
exactly. And with Google, I mean, at the very beginning, to log into Chalkup, you can use those Google apps for education accounts.
Yeah, so, I noticed that. It prompted me to sign in with my Google Plus, which is cool.
Yeah, and a lot of schools have those accounts already provisioned for every student, so it just makes it easy. There's not another password that they need to remember, and
exactly. It's keeping it all connected.
Keeping it all connected, exactly. And then the last part of that is our rubric feature. And you can create your own rubrics, completely customize how that looks. And teachers that have been using rubrics forever, by paper, are used to kind of circling what category and what standard that they actually earned from that perspective. But Chalkup takes it a step further, and we let you build that digitally and attach it to that assignment right away. And from there is when we'll let you grade that, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And the last cool part about creating assignments on Chalkup is creating it for multiple classes at the same time. So a lot of teachers teach multiple sections, of a class. So just kind of checking them off, create the assignment once, but it's the same thing for both classes. So cool stuff. So if we wanted to create this, all I'd have to do is hit assign, give it a due date that's accurate, and it would get sent out. And then everyone gets notified about that, like I was saying before. And they can get notified by email, by text message, or by push notification. And that's all configurable for each user, actually. And you can kind of see, here's my notification settings. And it's pretty straightforward.
Awesome.
Yeah, so now I'm ready to grade my assignment. A couple different things that I can see. For one is the amount turned in. So if I'm just, this one's an assignment that's coming up on Friday, it's Thursday today, so there's two students that have turned it in so far, but there's still a bunch that will need to. I can just keep my eye on this, see how my students are doing. But really, when I want to grade assignments, I come over to this grading tab, and we give a bunch of different options for how to grade. This is the assignments view. I can also look at them all by individual students and see their averages, as well as kind of the grid view. And the grid is just really similar to how a teacher's gradebook has always traditionally looked. So it's a nice way to just visualize the different assignments and how they did. So if I jump over to one of these and go to, let's say, this thematic essay. So this is an essay that my students had to do. I can see what I assigned originally, but now I'm seeing all of the submissions. So here's everyone and the files that they've uploaded to submit this assignment. And when I'm ready to grade one, I just kind of go right into it. And now I'm getting access to that submission. I can see when they turned it in. But I'm also getting access to our markup annotator. And this lets us comment on the file, lets us draw on it, highlight text and strike out, and all these different options to really just leave great feedback right on the file itself. And the next part, just if you stay with me, is grading with that rubric. So we created that rubric when we created that assignment, but now it's attached, and you're really just clicking on which standard the student earned, and we're automatically calculating the grade as a result of that. And you can move this window around, which teachers like to do. Just kind of move the window around and keep commenting on it and bring it back in when you want. And you hit save, and success, your feedback is saved, and it gets sent to the student. The student knows that there's new feedback for them, and they can hop on and look. And students can even reply to these comments, so that's actually really nice to just have the discussion going. And sometimes students will upload a draft before the final paper, so it's just a good way to stay connected to the feedback.
Definitely, and the symmetry between what I'm seeing right now, the annotations on the document, and how I've traditionally seen my English teachers grade my essays is incredible. It's exactly like a digital copy of the essay, because they're either crossing out letters or crossing out words. You can do that with annotating or strike through.
Definitely.
Taking giant pieces of text, saying like little comments about how to alter this, how to do that. Exactly. That was so simple. It's just, there's the red pen right there, and it's less that they have to manage like in a folder with paper, and it's easier for the student because when it's done, it's right there and they can view it, and then they can also talk about it. So it's better for everyone's schedule, and if a student is perhaps at home and this is done, they can then in real time talk to their teacher about some of the comments that they made.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, that is it. We're in a modern day and age, and paper is a thing of the past, and we really just need to make it a reality and show how it can create learning gains. Because if you're just doing something digitally, just to do it digitally, we feel like it's not enough. We think that if you're going to go all in and do something digitally, it has to be far smarter than the paper alternative. So things like auto-calculating rubric grades and more opportunities for more feedback that can be replied to, those are things that can really only happen digitally, and that creates a big incentive for everyone to just really adopt it. So that's really grading. I'm glad we got to go through it, and I can just kind of keep going through all these and see all the submissions. I can change the grade point value. I can make this whatever I want at any scale, and just really see. The next thing, if I could quickly go over to here, would be just the student view, and this is a student grading summary. But if I really want to just communicate with this one student, I can just send that student a message, especially "Where's your submission?" You know, that's a really important thing. If a teacher is just kind of staying on top of a student for something, and the student gets notified and really can take action quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last part, really, of just keeping everyone connected we skipped over a couple things here. I mean, there's materials, which just brings everything into one place. That's really straightforward. It's just folders and folders inside of folders, and to organize it, you just drag and drop it. Really familiar interface. And the last thing is classmates. This is all of my classmates. And on Chalkup, you can also have co-teachers. So in this class, I'm actually teaching this with Mr. Stevens, and that's actually a really helpful feature for a lot of teachers that teach with others or have an aide or something like that. And if I want to message my entire class, I just come right here, and here's now the class-wide chat. And this is a reminder. So it really actually works with our notification system so that reminders get sent out to all of the students via all of those notification devices, whether it's text messaging or the push notification. So it's all there, and you can really just kind of keep on the communication in kind of more of a chat setting.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunities for this, and we almost have some some teachers that say, okay, we'll have online office hours this afternoon from 4 to 5, and come on with your questions. So you can really have a back and forth. That's another opportunity to just get your questions answered.
Yeah, definitely, because I know a lot of my teachers maybe want to meet after school or meet during a study period, and I don't always have a study period, or maybe I have something going on after school, whether it be sports, a meeting with another teacher, something that prevents me from actually being there. And this is a great way that's not as spammy as, like a back and forth over email. I would definitely use this feature all the time.
Yeah, and we want students to actually use it all the time, and that's one of our goals, because there's plenty of places where you can chat with your friends or classmates, but if it is on Chalkup, again, it's kind of tied to all of your other classwork, all of your study material, and that makes it worth it, especially if that kind of becomes a cool way to kind of study with friends. I can just kind of quickly come in here and say I want to chat with John and I want to chat with Claire, and we can create a group message, and now we're both kind of talking with each other. So that easily we can just kind of form these small groups and just work with each other.
This is great. I love the symmetry between real work. I love the organization, the opportunity. Everything is just compiled so neatly, and there's so many things that students can do with each other and do with their teachers, and all the possibilities that digital work is evolving into with this application. I love this.
Yeah, thanks so much, Timmy. I mean, really, thanks for letting me take you through, and I hope that everyone got something out of it. And Chalkup's actually available for you to sign up for free, a free account, and use it in all of your classes. Invite in as many students as you want, and using your Google Apps for Education account or by email, and you can get started today.
Awesome. I'll definitely be doing that. All right, well, thank you very much for being here and taking us through this. Thank you to everyone who's watching. And stay tuned next week for another Help Desk Live video.
Thanks a lot. Take care.